Okay, so 15 minutes to improve your hip mobility. These are some of my favorite hip mobility exercises that I've learned over the years from yoga and Pilates teachers, physical therapy as well. If you don't have 15 minutes, no big deal. You can just do like 5 minutes a day, different parts of the routine. But the importance is consistency with these, and you will improve your hip mobility. All right, so we're going to start standing, back of the mat. We're going to just roll down and just kind of hang here just to kind of get warmed up. These exercises, these stretches and moves are great for low back issues as well. Not necessarily if you have a disc injury or something like that, but just generalized low back pain. We're going to walk forward to a downward dog position. Okay, I want you to lift the right leg up nice and high, bend the knee, and then point the knee towards the ceiling or the sky in this case as I'm outside, and lift the leg up as high as you can so you're really opening that hip joint. Then we're going to do 3 circles each direction. Make the circles as big as you can and nice and slow. And then reverse the circle 3 times. Good, straighten out the leg and bring it down, and we'll do the same thing on the left side. So lift the leg up, bend the knee, point the knee to the ceiling or sky, lift the leg to the ceiling or sky to get maximal hip opening, and then 3 slow big circles one direction, and 3 slow big circles the other direction. Extend the leg up and bring it back down to downward dog. Okay, lift the right leg up one more time, and then we're gonna take a huge step forward onto the outside of the hands. So the foot is at the very edge of the yoga mat, even off the yoga mat a bit. I can even walk it out to the side more and kind of externally rotate or turn my toes out. We're gonna set the knee down, and then we're gonna lift up and straighten the front leg to get the hamstring. A couple more times, down, pressing down, melting down into the left hip flexor, and then lifting up to stretch the right hamstring. And last time, we're gonna hold it down, let go of the back toes, and then you can either stay here, or if you're more flexible, you can come down to your elbows. But you want both elbows to have even pressure on the floor. You don't want to be rolling off to the side. If you need even a little more, you can use your right hand to press your right knee open. Couple nice deep breaths here. And then bring the hands back, tuck the back toes, lift the right arm up and rotate to the side. Maybe even walk that right foot out more, turn the toes out and open that hip, melt those hips down even further. Both hands back to the center and step back to your downward dog. Left leg's turn, lift it up, open the hip, step it forward, huge step on the outside of your hands. Drop that knee down, toes are turned out so you're opening the hip as much as you can, and then straighten that leg and bend, tap the knee down and straighten and bend, and last time straighten. This time leave it down, untuck the back toes, sink the hips down even more, maybe press the knee out with your hand. And then if you need more, you can come down to your elbows and forearms and maybe press the leg out even more here. Couple nice deep breaths. Hands back in the center, tuck the back toes, open that left arm this time and rotate, pressing the knee open. This time, instead of coming back to downward dog, we're gonna just bring the legs apart. Would have been a much easier transition if I was facing the other way. And then hands in the center, just kind of melt down to the center, stretching through the inner thighs a little bit. And then we're gonna come about halfway up, bring the feet in a little bit, turn the toes out, heels in, climb up to the knees for goddess pose. Sit down in as deep a squat as you can. Take your right shoulder over towards your left thigh. Switch to the other side. And one more time to each side. Great. Come back to that wide leg stance, hands down, toes facing forward, and we're just going to sway side to side. Known as skandasana sometimes, but you're just trying to squat side to side. If you have the flexibility and the strength, you can try to do it with no hands. That's quite challenging for me. We'll do 10 times. I'm going to call this 8, 9, and on the 10th one, we'll hold it over. Try to flex the foot of the straight leg, but keep the heel down of the bent knee. And again, if you want to try to hold it there without your hands, be my guest for about 10 counts. Sinking the hips down and breathing, and then we switch over to the other side. Holding for 10. This gets deep. And back to the center. Now we're going to go into malasana, which is really challenging or impossible for some people. So I think a ball is helpful. Whoops. A yoga block is also helpful to sit on. But basically what we're going to do is bring the feet closer. So a little wider than shoulder distance. Turn the toes out. And we're going to sit down into a yogi squat or malasana. So if you have something like a ball in front of you to support you, that can be helpful. We'll hold for 10 seconds. Trying to keep the body upright, the heels down, and breathe deep. Okay, I'm gonna push the ball over to the side, and then we'll try to stand straight up. Good, and again, we're gonna go down and hold for 10 seconds. If you need to sit on a block, once again, right underneath your hips, that's totally fine. You may feel like you're never gonna be able to get your heels down and your body straight up and down. I felt that way too, but with patience, and with consistency, you can get there. It's really good for the hips to maintain this mobility throughout our lives. And then slowly back up. We'll do one more time. We're going to hold it down for a rotation this time. So in your squat, put your right hand down, reach your left hand up to the ceiling. Back to the center and switch sides. Back to the center, the lowest you've come so far. It should start to feel more comfortable as your hips kind of release, but again, that takes time. So sitting on a yoga block might be a really good idea for a while. And then after this one, we're just gonna sit all the way back. Oh, so graceful, right? Bring the legs out in front, kind of just rotate them back and forth, shake it out a little bit. We're going to do seated windshield wipers. So feet are about distance of the yoga mat. Lean back onto the hands. Take the knees over to one side. Try to touch each knee down and back to the other side. So a couple of times that way. Then we're going to mix it up. And I want you to take the right knee as far as you can. So opening that right hip as much as possible. And then when it can't go any further, follow with the left. Ooh, same thing on the way back. So left leg goes as far as possible, right leg stays still. And when you can't go any further, it joins. And one more each time, each side that way. Easy for me to say, there's a mosquito on me. Last one. Okay, staying in kind of this format, but mixing it up a little bit. So we're 2 90-degree angles basically. So the front leg is kind of in a pigeon or similar to a mermaid position for those of you Pilates practitioners. Try to get the back hip down, pressing it down towards the mat. So this is an internally rotated stretch of the back leg, external at the front. Keep the chest tall, and if you can, you'll bend forward. And just melt down. Walk it up. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So 2 90-degree angles. Sitting up tall, trying to press the back hip down. If that's enough, stay here. If you want a little more, crawl forward, keeping the back straight. And bring it up. Okay, next one is known as cow pose or shoelace pose. So ideally you'll do it from sitting or kneeling, but if you can't do that, you can do it from supine. I'll show you this position first. So my right knee is hooked in front of my left. I'm gonna sit back and bring my feet wide. Sitting up tall, this might be enough. Like I said, if you can't do this, it's hard on your hips or your knees. You can do the same thing from supine. So you basically just lie down, cross one knee over the other, pull the knees in, and then pull the feet towards your body, but further apart from each other. Okay, so that's a great modification. I'm gonna keep showing you from this one though, because if you can do this pretty easily, then you'll add that flat back. Lean forward. When you can't lean any more forward, go ahead and round and melt into it. Another good internal rotation stretch of the hip. Bring it up. If you're on your back, just switch sides. If you're kneeling, same thing. Left knee on top and in front this time. Feet further apart. It's going to be more of a stretch. Sit up tall and then lean forward. When you can't go any further, you can melt down. And bring it up. Okay, we're gonna go around to our backs finally. So you can just roll down. One of my favorite stretches is just this, call it stirring the pot. So I'm pulling my knees in towards each other, making big circles with my hips, about 5 times that direction. And then I'm gonna push my knees out away from each other. So you're kind of making a big figure 8. And then hold them in. We're gonna set the left foot down and do our reclined pigeon or thread the needle. So go ahead and start with just the simple version, which pretty much probably everyone knows. If you're pretty flexible, you probably don't feel much of a stretch here. So I'm gonna show you kind of a different variation of this where we're first gonna take that, let's actually first put the foot down and then take the right knee all the way over towards the floor, towards the mat, keeping the shoulders down and then using your hand to press your knee down further to really get a lot of opening on that right hip. That feels pretty good, but I think this way even feels better. So keep that shape, but now bring your foot down to the floor and use your hand to push that knee open. Again, as your shoulders stay on the mat. And bring it back up. We'll switch sides. So thread the needle on the opposite side, pressing the left knee open. Holding for a few breaths, and then put the right foot back on the ground. Let the left knee come over towards the mat, keeping the shoulders up, and maybe use your left hand to press that knee down, getting opening on the left hip. Help it back to the center. Bring the foot down. Make sure I don't fall into the pool, and then push that left knee open with my hand. Great, and bring it back to center. Okay, happy baby's always a good one before we get up. Pulling the knees down towards the shoulders, holding on to the feet, maybe rocking a bit side to side. And then we're gonna pull the knees in. You can either rock and roll up to sitting, or you can roll to your side. We just have 2 more stretches. So we're gonna come into prone position now. So you're in Sphinx, elbows are underneath my shoulders, and then I'm gonna pull my left knee forward to about a 90-degree angle of hip and knee flexion. Trying to, again, push that hip down, keep the back straight. Inhale, lengthen, and then exhale, just fold down and relax. This one hopefully feels easy after all the other hard stuff. But just letting that hip melt down. This is called half frog. And switch over to the other side. Right knee comes up, 90-90, hip and knee flexion. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, melt down. And then finally, bring that leg back. We're gonna just press back to a wide knee child's pose, really squirming those hips down nice and low. You might even want to bring your arms back and just melt here in this child's pose, pushing the hips down towards the heels. Couple deep breaths here. And then we'll roll it up one vertebrae at a time. And hopefully your hips feel more flexible, you feel more mobile, maybe a little less tension, and you feel grounded.